about Fred Warner and how dominant he's been, and how being on a defense with Bosa, maybe I always say I think Greenlaw doesn't get as much credit because he's on a defense with Fred Warner. Well, Richard Sherman was kind of saying Fred Warner doesn't get as much credit because he's on a defense with Bosa, which is kind of hilarious because I think all these people get tons of praise, but I think that's just people trying to show how good they are. That even though they're talked about as some of the highest, most talented people at their position, that people are like they're still not getting enough praise. Richard Sherman's point was that Fred Warner should be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, it's only week 5, but I mean, he is on a roll and he has looked fast, physical, dominant, strong. I mean, he has it in every way, talent-wise, in every way, mental-wise. He's an excellent leader for the team. I always like listening to his press conferences because I feel like if you listen to like a Christian McCaffrey, even a Purdy, they're like too boring. Like they're too on the
Yeah, a
nose.
little
Where
dullness.
where Fred Warner, he has that like spokesman thing, but he still gives you like enough that I find his responses like insightful and interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about Fred Warner in general? How do you feel about him this year? And how do you feel about that Defensive Player of the Year conversation that Richard Sherman is trying to start?
Yeah, well, he's definitely the best linebacker. I don't think there was ever a debate in that, and especially not after last night. You know, he had a pretty much a forced fumble that was perfect, beautiful, peanut punch, Charles Woodson, everything. I was just so accurate. If that was going towards someone's jaw, the dude could have been getting an offered contract from Showtime to start boxing. That's how direct and great that punch was from Fred Warner. Then you had the sack and the pick. I mean, the dude's all over the place. Now, Defensive Player of the Year, yeah, early so far looking good because
That was so cool.
like with MVP, I mean, what pass rushers really notching up like so many sacks right now? It's not really too many standouts. Again, only 5 games into the season, but I personally, I'd be all for it because I'm like with MVP, kind of tired of always quarterbacks. Let it be somewhere else. So I would just keep running the Christian McCaffrey train into the ground because I'd rather see that. Like, let's do something else, man. Why can't we do something else for once? Or with Defensive Player of the Year, it's always got to be a pass rusher. The last time it was actually someone else was a corner in Stephon Gilmore 2019. I mean, give it to someone else. But for Fred Warner to do that, he's going to have to sustain that level of stats, because that's pretty much all they care about for these awards is your stats, which, if he gets it or not, who cares? Everyone knows he's one of the best in the game overall. So if he's going to have to keep sustaining that level, and can he do it? Hell yeah, he can. But you just got to wonder, are the offense is going to start throwing it where he's at, or what are they going to do? Because, he's just an amazing guy. He's always fast. He can do everything. He can cover. He can blitz. He can run. It's what can he do? For considering the contract he has as one of the top paid linebackers, he's severely underpaid. So you're the 49ers. That was a great way to, and speaking of underpaid, Greg Greenlaw signing him right when the season started last year, talk about bargain. It's like the 49ers had clairvoyance or something like that. I said, we're going to ride Dre Greenlaw to the moon. We're going to buy low right now. And sure enough, that thing's worth like 8 times more than what it is. So talk about getting ahead of the game. So right now, I mean, if I kind of want to expand on this topic, Fred Warner. What about Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw? Are we looking at probably a better duo than Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis? Because I'm pretty much getting ready to jump on that narrative.
I agree. I was going to ask you, like, I think maybe to make that comparison, Fred Warner would have to win Defensive Player of the Year just because of all the accolades that they got. But I think he could, if Greenlaw starts. I mean, he needs to be All Pro. It's such a shame that
he was like a vote or 2 away from making second team too last year.
No, and I think it's solely because of the defense he's on. Because any other team, I think he would have gotten there, no problem. But I do. I think if they keep up this level of play, which obviously only week 5, if they keep up this level of play, I definitely feel like they have to be in the conversation for not only the best linebacker duo in the NFL right now, but in 49ers franchise history, which is crazy because that is a position that the 49ers have been truly blessed with and have had just some all-stars at. But no, I think I going back to that sack really quick. I thought that was such a beautiful play. He takes away CeeDee Lamb's route and then like has the wherewithal to run all the way back and then get Dak. That was just so impressive. Obviously, he made multiple impressive plays, but watching him and Greenlaw is such a joy on the field. When we talk about weaknesses and we talk about how to stop our offense, it's like the 49ers, how do you go against them? Because if
Yeah.
you're running the ball, they're like, even when they're kind of lined up far off, they're hit immediately. Like the second that someone catches the ball, the play is over.
Smacked.
It's it's so incredible, and it's been really really cool to watch. I had one other thing, but I forgot, so I'm gonna check the comments really quick, and maybe that will spark what I was gonna say. Okay, ain't no way they're in the same class. Now I will say I feel like they had more tackles, but we don't people don't run the ball as much, so it's a they're different styles. Like I wouldn't compare them like specifically as players, but just if we're talking about like dominance, like compared to their peers, I think that they would be in that conversation. But to be
They probably
fair,
have to
I
do it
was
for like a couple more seasons, and then
yeah
including this
continue.
one. So because they've already been doing it for about one or two, one for sure. Because remember Greenlaw got hurt 2021 and stuff like that. But they're knocking on the door for me because, like you said, like they were running the ball more back then, but Willis and Bowman were pretty much next gen linebackers. They were a mix of old and next gen where they could still cover out and go against tight ends and even some slot receivers. So they were ahead of their class, ahead of the game. So for me, it's like if I were to really like put them ahead of them, it's got to be after the season. I'm saying like I'm getting ready to put them in the conversation and the narrative to talk about it because it's just. Again, still 5 games. If they keep it up this year, I'm going to probably be panning that table. And if it goes next year, we're for sure there.
Definitely. I think you got to give them a little bit more credit. I agree, different styles, but what they're doing right now compared to the rest of the league is, I mean, if the 49ers didn't have if they had sub in average play linebacker play right there, like that defense would look so incredibly different. Like
They'd get picked
the
apart.
physicality that they bring, the tackles that they bring, the Fred Warner chasing down every route the second before it even happens. Even like their mindset. I always love that side note where have you heard this? Fred Warner talks about in the national anthem before the game, he'll look for the quarterback and just stare him down. And if the quarterback won't look back at him, he one thinks that the quarterback's weak and knows that they're going to win anyways. And two, he'll find a different player and he'll just stare at them until they don't blink. I just love tidbits like that, which is it makes him sound kind of crazy, which is hilarious because you see him talk kind of like Bosa, like you're like, oh, they're so chill. And then you ask them a question kind of about their play and they say some like wild stuff
Now,
like
on the
that. And you're
field
like,
is a
all right,
different persona. On the field is definitely a
little
different
tweak.
persona.